everybody, welcome to MORE-VILLE, Orville, the podcast that reviews the Orville. It's right there in the title. I am your co-host, Mike Allen. I'm joined by G.I. Jolie.
That's me. I'm here to review.
And Champ Ian.
And hey, that's me. I'm also here to review. How you doing, Mike, Jolie?
Good. How
Awesome.
How are you?
Doing all right.
Aside from the world ending.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're doing the best we can with the world crashing down around us.
Yes.
And what better show to talk about than a show that deals with serious social issues with a comedic overtone, right? The
Exactly.
Orville. Yeah. So this is episode 19, reviewing episode 19 of the Orville. And this episode is called Deflectors. And Mr. Memory Champion is going to remind us what this episode is about.
I'll do my best, guys. This episode starts off with the Orville going to the planet Moclan, home of our favorites, Bortus and Clyden. They're going to get some new deflector shields installed. And as we've learned earlier in Season 1, that Bortus is the go-to planet when it comes to weaponry and that sort of thing. So they go to Moclan, and their engineering team comes aboard, and it's headed up by a man named Lokar. And as Lokar is introducing himself, Bortus gives him this weird look and says, oh, it's interesting to see you again. It turns out that Lokar and Bortus used to date way back in the day. And they've since broken up, of course, and now it's an awkward situation. Lokar is trying to convince Bortus to help out, but Bortus is having none of it. He's too busy. He's got his own family, and that's that. So Lokar helps them with the deflector shields. And in Bortus's absence, who's our new Zelayan's names? Tala?
Yeah.
Tala? Kiali. Tala Kiali. All right. So Kiali and Lokar is attracted to Kiali, which is interesting because the Moclans are an all-male race, and the idea of a female is offensive to them. But he's attracted to her, and he asks her out, and she says yes, and they have a little date on the holodeck in 1930s New York, or 1940s New York, doesn't matter. They dance for a bit, they make out for a bit, and then she has to leave. She comes back moments later to find that he's gone. She can't find him in the simulator. She asks the ship where he is, and he's not on the ship either. He hasn't left in a shuttle, so now we have this mystery. What happened to Lokar? She plays back the replay of what was happening on the holodeck, and another Moclan enters and vaporizes him with a weapon. But the recording is corrupted, so you can see that there's somebody there, but you can't see who it is. After a little bit of sleuthing, they find a way to see through the distortion, and it is Clyden, Bortus's mate, who has killed Lokar.
Scandal.
Scandal indeed. So they arrest Clyden, and they interrogate him, and he admits that yes, he went down there to talk to Lokar, but he didn't kill him. So a mystery has ensued, and it is something that, is it Bortus or is it Lokar, mentions to Tala. That she says that it sounds like Moclan is a terrible place to grow up. I'd kill myself if I was there. Oh no, you wouldn't do that, because suicide is the highest form of shame on Moclan, and not only would you be ostracized, but your family would be ordered to leave Moclan. And then something clicks in her head. Oh, maybe this is Lokar faking his own death. Because he wants to, he can't escape. He's attracted to females. This is a shameful thing on his planet, so he's going to fake his death in order to get away from everything. Turns out that she's correct. He is hiding on a shuttle. She confronts him. he says, you know what, screw it. I'll just go back to Moclan and face the music. And nobody lives happily ever after. It's a chilling end to the episode where it's intimated that that is going to be the end of Lokar.
Yes. I think dramatically this is one of the best episodes of the show so far.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
really
agree.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, I thought it was so good that I was like, this is better than Seth MacFarlane is like capable of. And of course I looked it up and it was not written by him. It was written by David A. Goodman, but it was directed by Seth MacFarlane.
What's David Goodman done?
Let's see, just clicking on him
He's
quickly.
the executive producer, but it looks like... Oh, do you know what? He wrote the comics. Why do I feel like he's associated with Buffy?
I've never heard of him before, but he's probably one of those guys that's been around, but he's definitely involved with the show, and he co-wrote the episode about a girl, so he obviously is a good writer, but I thought this episode was excellent. Like, again, it's like, well, this is 100% something that TNG would do, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's to the point where I wonder if TNG had an episode where someone was hiding on the ship. I seem to remember that. Am I wrong? Maybe it...
There was an episode of the original series where somebody was hiding on the ship. That was the episode where it was Lieutenant Finney,
Yes,
I think was the
Finnegan,
name of the guy.
Or Finney, yes.
Oh, yeah, and he was a former colleague of Captain Kirk who made a mistake, and Kirk, way back, it was like they were ensigns or something, had to report him for the mistake, and Finney thought that ruined his career, so he was going to kill Kirk by, I forget how it went.
Was it the episode where he hesitated and that's why he got busted or something, or was that a different one?
I don't recall that. Oh no, this was going to be a murder-suicide, basically. That Finney disabled the Enterprise's engines, and they were going to burn the ship up with everyone on board. And I think he relented when Kirk brought Finney's daughter on board.
So anyway, similar. There's definitely similarities, but I really, really like this episode. But I'll save my comments for a little bit later. But Jolie, what did you think of this one?
Oh, I loved it. It's like one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
One, I like seeing the Moclan culture. Mm-hmm. However, whatever it is, and when they do it in episodes, because it's like the most foreign culture at this point to me, other than like, at this point it's the most foreign culture that they could be showing us. So it's like, I can kind of guess what other people's lives were like back on whatever planets they came from, but I'm the most interested in the Moclans, and the whole idea of his heterosexuality kind of being a placeholder for the way homosexuals are treated in the real in our
world,
IRL. So yeah, like the writing was great. It really lets you. I like. Do you know what? I don't. I'm sitting here kind of trying to convince myself that I like Tala Kiali, and this was like the episode that kind of helped me like her a little bit more. But no, it wasn't. It kind of like, ooh, she was kind of super even cringier in this episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember watching these episodes when they first aired and liking her character, and in these rewatches, I'm like, nah, this woman's not a great actress.
I know. I mean,
she was terrible on Gossip Girl too, but like, this is even worse.
I mean, I liked her a little bit more, but no, I'm not quite warming up to her yet. And again, it was a little convenient that this new character. I mean, I know that it was she's like, this is her job. She's the chief of security, mm-hmm. But there's even speculation by fans that when the episode was written, yes, it was supposed to be what's her name, Alara Katan. And they just changed it. But in any case, I love a good mystery. I love the way it played out. Again, this is they're taking advantage of the science fiction part of the show, where this particular mystery could only happen in a science fiction environment with the altered holodeck records, and then, you know, hiding on the ship from the sensors and hiding on the... Because you find out that the guy had a personal... Was it a personal? No, she suspected that he had a personal cloak, but he actually said, no, it's nothing like that. I'm just focusing the shuttle's cloak onto me, right? Mm-hmm. Remember he says that? So
yeah, because he's an engineer, so
right.
He would know how to do that kind of thing.
Yep, and then I love the ending when he's like, no, you know what, I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm going to go face... However he words it, I don't remember what he says, but that was a really good ending. When he's like, no, screw this, I'm going to go face, you know, justice, or whatever he says. It's great.
Which, you know, unfortunately is life imprisonment.
Right.
Imprisonment on Moclan. Also, kind of cool that in a simulator you can change the settings so that fake guns can kill.
Yeah.
Ruh-roh.
I think on TNG they had that too, like safety, whatever those are called, where you could turn them on and off so that you could actually die in the holodeck. But
that's intense.
I also want to point out the last scene. Actually, the woman who plays Kalea, this is some really good acting from her. When Clyden comes into the room and she's like, basically says, because of you, his life is over for no reason but your own prejudice. And then she bursts into tears and he just walks out and she's left alone. That scene was excellent. It was really good. And it's interesting because the show, and TNG did this too, where you've got your cast, but you don't always agree with the decisions the cast members make. Like there was one episode of TNG where Worf had the opportunity to donate, I think it was he could give blood or something to an alien race, and it could have helped the person survive. And
yeah, that was actually a really good episode of TNG. Worf had an antibody that would have saved a Romulan's life.
Right.
And there were a few Romulans that had crash landed on a planet or something like that. And it was actually, they had found a third one, and this was a diplomatic opportunity for the Federation as well. And even then, Worf hated the Romulans so much that even though it would have helped them all out, he declined.
It was great because you're watching that episode and you're thinking, well, at the end he's going to relent, and no, he just doesn't. And we as viewers just have to live with that. And in this episode, it's like, wow, we have to live with Clyden's decision again, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And his characters. So, just a great ending, I thought.
Mm-hmm. The only weak points I think about this episode, again, I'm agreeing with Jolie here that I'm not sold on Tala's character either. I think they tried to go a little bit too far in the opposite direction, right? Because Katan's character was very, apprehensive, very lacking in confidence of her own abilities. And it seems as though now we've swung the needle in the complete opposite direction.
I agree.
And it just seems a little forced to me. And the moment when she put two and two together, and like she just happened to mention, I'd kill myself, and then whichever of those Bortus or Clyde, and I forget who, said, no, you can't do that there because it's fate worse than death. Oh, wait a minute. And it just seemed to come together a little too quickly.
It was
go ahead, Jolie.
Another aha moment, like the one, like the Geliac constellation.
Yes, yeah, I got the same vibe.
Yeah,
like it was too easy, and I actually really like the idea that that Lokar comes and is attracted to her. Initially, she's apprehensive because she's like, well, isn't your race homosexual? Or like they're one gender, so why are you attracted to me? I'm like, my race is equivalent of a woman. And then when he explains himself that he's technically heterosexual, she's like, okay, let me think about it. Like that whole exchange leading up to them going on a date, I have no problem with that. It's that one scene where she like kind of like gives it to Clyden that I burst out laughing.
Well, and it's also bad writing to have her jump to these conclusions so quickly, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you're right. That was the one moment where I was like, oh, if they would have just given her a little bit more time to deduce it, it would have been like a perfect episode. But instead, it's like...
It had all the makings of a great mystery, and it's kind of like we skipped to the last chapter.
Yeah.
Just to see how it ended. Mm-hmm. And speaking of other weak parts of this episode, I completely forgot about the Kelly Cassius backstory.
Oh my god.
Where she breaks up with him,
Yes.
and he loses his damn mind.
Yeah.
And we don't really see too much of it, which is kind of the problem for me, is that she's just kind of telling Ed, oh yeah, he's being really pushy with these messages, trying to get back together. And then we walk into her quarters, and there's a giant flower man.
Oh yes, voiced by
Bruce Willis.
Was it Bruce Willis? Yes, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis?
Yes, it was Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis will do anything.
Like that it was okay, but it was like, I don't know if it fit in this episode, and I personally didn't like the CGI flower. I wish it would have been like a puppet flower, like
yeah, I agree.
You know, what's the movie? The famous movie, Rick
Little
Moranis?
Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, Little
That's
Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been... It was already hilarious. But also, like, with all this stuff that's happening, and this is going to date the podcast, but, like, all the weird gift giving that Kanye is giving Kim, it's very, like, Kanye Kim, where he's, like, love bombing her. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this isn't a love bomb situation, and he doesn't go off the total deep end and try to kill her, which, I mean, we know he doesn't, but that's kind of the territory we're treading on with Cassius right now.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to point out that, as you know, I'm watching DS9 for the first time all the way through, and I've never been a huge fan of the way that Klingons are portrayed in Next Generation. And in fact, even though I love Star Trek, there's kind of a cliche in all of science fiction, or at least TV science fiction, where you take an actor, you put them in makeup, and all of a sudden that actor has to put on a crazy voice and overact and blah, blah, blah. And is the director telling them to do that, right? Like, every Klingon does that Klingon voice, right? Every Doctor Who villain does that crazy Doctor Who voice, but yet, once in a while, there'll be an actor like Christopher Lloyd in Star Trek 3, Christopher Plummer in Star Trek 6, who'll just be like, no, I'm just going to talk like myself, even though I've got all this Klingon makeup on, right? And I'm finding that the Moclans are closer to that, where obviously Bortus, the actor playing Bortus, is playing a character, but it's more human than a Klingon would be, and then so is Clyden, and then so is the other guy who's in this episode, and so is because there's a fourth Moclan in this, right? Isn't there the guy who, right? Isn't there a guy who wants to kill, right? He wants to kill or arrest, or am I imagining
There's Clyden,
this?
there's Bortus, there's Lokar, and then there's what? Somebody else?
I think there's someone else. Maybe
Captain
I'm wrong.
Recheck?
Yeah.
Rechick?
Yes. And every time I see an actor playing a Moclan, I'm like, this is how the Klingons should be. Just like, okay, fine, they're a little bit gruff, they're a little bit alien, but they're not as over the top and silly. I don't know. Did you guys ever find that with the Klingons on TNG and DS9, or what did you think?
Yes, absolutely, they were overacted, and I completely agree with you in terms of the two Christophers from the Star Trek movies. Fantastic jobs, probably the two most memorable Klingons aside from Worf. I had a little trouble in this episode sort of telling the Moclans apart visually.
Sure.
Like when we had that reveal when they got through the interference and we saw who the Moclan was who shot Lokar, I was like, wait a minute, is that... I'm not sure who I'm looking at right now.
Right, yep.
And it wasn't until a few moments later that, okay, I thought it might be Clyden, but I wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. So there's, like, visually, I think they're a little bit not quite as distinctive, which is something that didn't happen with the Klingons on Star Trek. Every Klingon that you needed to know who they were, they all looked very similar. They all looked very distinctive. But the acting was a different matter entirely. To the point where it was almost comical, right? And you're watching Deep Space Nine now, so I think you're going to be. Is it Gowron and?
Is he the Cardassian, the clothes designer, or whatever he is?
Garrick is the tailor.
I cannot stand that actor. I'm sorry, I can't stand him.
Are you really? He's one of my favorite characters on that show.
Really? No, I can't take him. I can't. Just overacting in a different way, but I just don't like him. But that's another discussion.
Just in case anyone cared, the episode that we refer to about Worf giving no blood to the Romulans is called The Enemy. Okay, carry on. I just wanted to shoehorn that in there.
Yes, that's the episode where Geordi was stuck on the planet with the one Romulan.
Great. And Mike Stoklasa pointed out something on Half in the Bag that he likes that in Star Trek Discovery that now they have Klingons with different skin color, because I think there's like albino Klingons or whatever they are, and it's true because even the three of us sitting here have 3 different skin tones. You'd think that the Klingons, they'd have a little bit of variation. It would be nice, right? Like, why not? I mean, they all have that turtle head and they all have the teeth. Why not? Why can't they have slightly different shades of skin?
Well, they did.
Did they? In TNG?
Yeah.
I don't recall TNG for certain, but I mean, Christopher Lloyd is a white actor, and Michael Dorn is a black actor.
Christopher Lloyd, when he was in makeup, didn't he have brown skin?
No.
They probably. I don't think they did. I don't think he did.
I will look this up as we are talking. Listeners, if you'll just give me a moment. You know what? Okay, you're right.
I think his face looked dirty, but he was a Klingon.
You know what? I think you're right. I think my brain just filled it in as being brown, but you're right. I think it's his natural skin color. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, they used darker makeup to contour, but they referenced his natural skin color as his natural Klingon skin color.
Okay.
And I think that's what's kind of going to be the downfall of the way that they've shaped or chosen the shapes of Moclan features.
Yeah.
Because not only are they going to be homosexual, a homosexual race and a race of only men, but they're also using, and I think that this is going to be a thing, they're only using black men or, people of color.
Dark skin, yeah.
Yeah. To represent the race of Moclans, which I think is amazing. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, no, they won't just use black men because there are female Moclans and they're all black too. So yeah, I think in kind of involving the majority of the face in prosthetics, they're losing the individual features of the actors' faces, so it makes it does make it hard to tell each Moclan apart from the other.
Right.
Because I noticed as well that they're not using varying shades of brown either, that are kind of like that would also make them a little more distinct.
Right.
Well, I will say though, the female Moclan from the poet, she had less turtle head going on. So maybe female Moclans have like gentler features, like sort of soft.
Right.
Moclans don't have any hair, do they? They're all bald.
Well, some of them have mustaches.
Okay, on that note, guys, I think it's time for jokes.
Oh, I like jokes.
All the jokes. I don't know if there was many, but let's just see what I got here, okay? Okay, check it out.
Yeah, see, look, they have little Orvilles on them.
Uh-oh. Tractor beam activated. It's pulling us in. Oh, no!
Wait, do you remember that?
Yeah,
Remember
when
brought
one of
Lieutenant Dan.
the science officers brings cupcakes into the engineering room. There's a few jokes in that room.
Do you remember that, Ian?
I do remember that.
Okay.
I do remember that. There's one line from that joke, from that scene that kind of got me laughing a little bit. I'm gonna wait until I hear if you're gonna play it or not.
No, because you know what? That was the only one I recorded actually. So you can go ahead with your joke. Yeah.
Oh, it's my Lokar, and one of the science officers has the cupcakes and is offering Lokar a cupcake, and she's a little too insistent. Are you sure you don't want a cupcake? and he snaps at her. I have given you my answer.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then,
we think that he just doesn't like cupcakes, but then after the successful deflector test, he's like, I will have a cupcake now.
Yes, yeah, that was good.
and she like totally perks up. I love it because it's the girl that Lamar, it's the officer that Lamar is dating.
Okay.
And I love
Right.
how it's just like an Earth office where someone would come with cupcakes
Yep.
in a Tupperware and just like be handing them out.
And the face that she makes when he snaps at her too. She just gives this and then walks off out of frame.
Yeah. But also Lieutenant Dan, his enthusiasm for everything, including cupcakes. Like, what does this man not love? Really? Or what race of creature is he? Alien?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I called him a man. He's clearly not a man. But
You know, I actually, to be honest, I think I was short on jokes this week, but was this the episode where Bortus talks about how when you split up with someone, you have to take their tooth, or you give away their
Yes.
tooth? That was
They're
a
on-
funny gag.
yeah, they're on the bridge, and they kind of ask how he knows Lokar.
Right.
He's like, we did what you would call dating. Oh, and we broke up. Oh, and then Malloy is like, so, oh my God. So do you stab each other when you break up? Just
Yeah.
like divorce? Oh, no. We, the person who leaves removes his tooth and leaves it with the partner they've broken up with. And then Malloy's like, oh my God. And everyone's like kind of disgusted. He's like, then you give it to the new person that you see. And he's like, ooh, I know. Do they eat it?
And then, but wait, then what does Bortus say?
But Bortus says, yes. And he's like, ooh, I'm getting good at this.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Again, giving us a little back, like, just like
Yeah.
little tidbits about Moclans.
Right.
It's just it's so funny.
It's a
like
golden
they're so
goose.
quirky.
Right? That keeps on laying jokes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you say that they're the species that keeps on laying jokes?
No, I said, yeah, they're the golden goose that keeps on laying jokes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean,
Since they do lay eggs.
Since they do lay eggs, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I guess that's all we have to say about this episode. This was a great one. One of my favorites so far. Ian, what do you think?
I think with absolutely. There's another couple of great scenes there too. There's the one scene where Tala and Tala makes a comment to Bortus saying, "Oh, you should be more sympathetic since what they did to your daughter." And he looks like he's going to rip her head off for a second.
Yes.
I almost jumped out of my chair that scene.
Tala?
Like, wow.
she even misgenders. She misgenders either Topa or Clyden.
Right.
Okay.
And like, someone gets furious with her, and it's like, this girl's pushing, but like that's what I like. That's what I think that they should do more of with her, is like use her as a vehicle to like kind of
As
push.
an antagonist.
Yeah, because that's the kind of security officer I feel like she is. Like, she comes from a family that like a Selayan family that identifies that the military is fine. You know what I mean? Like, so why would she wouldn't be as meek or unsure as Alara was. You know what I mean? She already seems kind of like with it. So why not be that kind of a person, an antagonist kind of person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond that, the one thing that I'm kind of it sort of falls apart a little bit under too careful scrutiny is exactly why the Moclans are so anti-female. If they've always existed as an all-male race, then why should this be something that's even on their radar? And I'm sure there's a backstory there, and I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Point.
Because this is a very deeply entrenched problem for them. It just doesn't seem like something that would evolve on its own.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the Zodiac episode. Their hatred for that one Zodiac sign seems underexplained, right? So yeah,
but since we this doesn't bug me that much because since they keep feeding us a little bit more about the Moclans here and there, I'm sure something that'll come out.
Right.
Yeah, like hopefully it gets to a 5th season and it's like Buffy, it like really pays off in the 5th season, where it's about the Moclans and how, you know, they actually change. Ooh, maybe I don't know. I'm really wishful hoping here.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. So I love this episode. Champion loves it. G.I. Jolie
Absolutely loves it.
All right, so there you go. Thank you for joining us. You can hear every episode of MORE-VILLE, Orville, and wherever you found this one. But if you get the chance, please go to www.comicbooksyndicate.com to find all of our episodes, as well as every episode of Flea Market Fantasy, Here Comes the Spider Cast, Full Volume Podcast, and Comic Book Syndicate. There you go. Until next week, there's more where that came from.